ghostly legend Tom York, instrumental phenom Johnny Greenwood, otherwise known as Man with Hair Always in His Face, along with Tom Skinner, the sick co-founder of the Afro jazz group Sons of Kemet, are all back as a collective art rock band. You know it, it's The Smile. I don't think I need to explain to many people how The Smile came to be. They are a Radiohead side project born from the depths of hell that was COVID-19, with the added on UK link that is Skinner on the drums. We haven't even sniffed a Radiohead project in what seems like almost a decade. It was 2016 when A Moon-Shaped Pool dropped, and with the outlet that The Smile now produces, a future LP of the Radiohead variety might be awaiting even further on the horizon, and that's a sad thing to acknowledge as a fan. But in the meantime, let it not be confused. The Smile showcases a lot of the beautiful art rock tendencies that Radiohead has always offered. And this was all very apparent with their debut, A Light for Attracting Attention, which showcased a refreshing looseness to the play and scope of the arrangements from artists like Tom York and Johnny Greenwood. The Smile as a band, or this record, isn't meant to live up to the well-kempt, rigid nature that is a premier Radiohead track list, and I don't think listeners should expect it to. Now, getting into this record, Wall of Eyes opens up with its self-titled statement, which features a gentle trail of an acoustic guitar that marches along to the soft bass play from Skinner's drums. York's vocals come off accordingly in line and can reach a nice sweet spot, especially when seeking a nice spiritual tone or hum. They also twist nicely with the eerie progressive sway of the strings that lay down a nice groundwork for the darker themes of this record. Already at this point as a listener, I feel like I'm passing through a barren landscape where the line between fiction and reality are slightly blurred. From the jump, York does what he does best, and that is delivering abstract narrative verses that set up thought-provoking imagery, usually leaning into more pessimistic shades. The first lyrics of this album are as follows: "Down a peg or two you'll go, behind a wall of eyes of your own device." I believe this song is an expression of self-deprecation as we individually set up these filtered lens or wall of eyes that judgmentally scorn even our best behaviors. It's an everlasting non-corporeal structure that somehow becomes our worst enemy. There is no actual wall of eyes, but you will spend the betterment of your time wasting away as if there was. The following song, Teleharmonic, similarly plays off quite stagnant in its rhythm and ambiance and has a notable lack of any featured guitars. It isn't until York, after being caught in, quote, fisherman drag nets and waiting payback, resonates with yearning vocals on the chorus to rise the temperature a bit. And it's tracks like these that will truly test the patience of a listener. Does the methodically slow and bare nature to a lot of the ambient form of this art rock keep you entertained? Or after a while, will you be ready to hit the hay? And I'll admit, I fell into the latter camp on my first couple of listens, as my expectations were kind of rooted in a variety of the tricky punk guitar play offered on A Light for Attracting Attention, though that isn't to say that those type of moments don't exist at all on Wall of Eyes. In fact, conveniently so, the next two cuts, Read the Room and Under Your Pillows, almost exist to tickle that specific fancy. The former's scraggy desert blues rock riff loops beside a nice bass line with a bit of swag to it. The mood exudes a bit of a desolate Saharan climate vibe with sneaky drawn out synth lines that complement this kind of aesthetic. York's presence and the words he hides behind on this song are quite critical of the world we have created for ourselves. In this track, there are massive egos making detrimental and influential phone calls. And the song's protagonist, York per se, wants to stay the hell away from it all, or act like they have no cause and effect to such actions. The act of reading a room itself can be quite referential to there being a greater wall of eyes perceiving us, and we kind of fall back in line based on how we are being perceived, which is counterintuitive to our general societal concerns. It's like no matter how far we want to stray away from that perception, you will just suck yourself right back in. This song eventually closes out nicely with a steady instrumental breakout and classic climactic York vocal performance. He always just knows how to linger on a sustained note. Under Your Pillows utilizes similar guitar tones to Read the Room, but this time the riff is quite snappier with a very neat little delay from Greenwood that kind of plays tricks on your mind a bit. I'll also say this song plays pretty similarly to the track Thin Thing off their debut, which was maybe one of my favorite tracks on the album, keeping this tune a little bit in its shadow. Nevertheless, the song is still pretty fun. It has a pretty relatable moral telling to that of a human's natural inclination to seek escapism under their pillow at night, through their dreams, and maybe to wipe their natural state clean. Thematically fitting, the song halfway through bends off into like an ambient instrumental void, a backdrop to what is likely a nightmare, because the smile wouldn't let us easily have nice things and enjoy ourselves in sweet little dreams, would they? The second half of Wall of Eyes mostly fits back into the mold of a slow and bare approach. It's an environment we've seen previously Radiohead shine a numerous amount of times in, but don't come in expecting, lightning in a bottle or just some nuances you haven't experienced before. More appropriately, expect like mist in a teacup. It's times like these where I've kind of had to challenge myself with several pass-bys to try and pluck beauty wherever I may find it. For example, I Quit is pretty damn sparse in its instrumentation and pretty damn stagnant in its progression, but let's look on the bright side. There's some more cool guitar delay tricks, and there is some short bursts of tension with the assistance of some strings. Also, I get that this track is supposed to feel like someone's hollow walk to their own grave. It's like a brief rationalization by the narrator how they've reached this, quote, end of the trip, as they continue to soak in this like transition period in time in space that occurs before their actual death. So I can't help but want a little bit more bite to it though, or get a little bit more tingle on my taste buds. Similarly, the closer You Know Me is in no rush to say goodbye. It's another 5 minutes of pretty bare instrumentation with, again, just a small peak of strings highlight snuck in at the end. And hey, I'm all for soft-spoken piano ballads, but here it's another moment where I kind of have to dig deep into the lyrical space to find more attraction in the details. And of course, for someone like me, it kind of works well. I might be a little simple-minded in this suggestion, but even here I get, just continuous callbacks to the non-entity that is the Wall of Eyes. It is the album name, wink, wink. It's kind of easy to come to that conclusion with lyrics like, you with your x-ray specs, you can always see inside me, and always you know me. I love the finality to the way York leaves this album off lyrically. It's as if he states that these Wall of Eyes don't actually know him, and he hushes out like the proclaimed judgmental gossip that he once feared by the Wall of Eyes. The strongest highlight of this album has to be Bending Hectic. The sprinkled stream of fluttery guitar lines have like a curious life of their own. They provide so much delicacy, as if at any moment this space here could crack. And well, this space doesn't crack. Rather, it shatters in the final build-up to the chorus here. A wall of hair-raising strings bond together and crescendo to unveil this explosive grunge rock finale with... Wait, what is that? A distorted guitar? Wow, now that's living. The entire development to a song like Bending Hectic is one of the rewards of an album such as Wall of Eyes. Sometimes coasting for long bits makes the few hilly side tracks or points of elevation feel a little bit more exciting. And relatable to this track's theme of coming to that all-important bend in the road as a driver, there are two options. You can either succumb and let go of the controls to ease the pain that your inner thoughts crave, or, you make the harder choice to tackle your troubles head on, pilot your own life, and form a more constructive path. And damn, this track is just pretty great overall. And I'd look forward to having a slate of songs like it more so on here, but you just don't simply see much of that. I do enjoy Wall of Eyes, and I would recommend Wall of Eyes to most people. I would, however, preface my approach with take your time with it. Let it soak in. There exists a lot of appeal that can float by an occupied mind. I believe I was playing like Pokemon Stadium when I first listened to this, and it could feel a little dull because I wasn't necessarily paying too much attention to the details. As well, I'd likely say that this was never going to live up to your preconceptions if you looked solely at this record from an angle based on Radiohead appeal. There is a cohesive charm and general intrigue to poking some of the verses here, and even fun in contemplating the interconnectivity to the whole package. I'd say Wall of Eyes is pretty similar in quality to The Smiles' first project. I found more specific standout tracks to love on that first one, but here the tightness of the experience has its own advantages. So please check out The Smile's latest release, artist socials and music links in the description below, waiting for your special touch. Thanks to everyone for watching. I'm intrigued if there are any opinions from diehard Radiohead fans. If that is you, if so, leave me something juicy. Leave me something juicy. I'm Brett. As always, I'll see you around the pond.